Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Sri Mate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavari Paskachare Shatarine. We got a screamer here.
He's getting into the kirtan.
He's going to be a good singer and dancer. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 John, are you staying for class?
What?
Are you staying for class? The reason you're not staying is because you're classless. Yeah. So, she told me that we're having Canto 1, Chapter 15, Text 12. So I hope we can say something. We'll see what happens, right? Anyway, there's only a couple of people. I can always ask questions, right? So, what's that? Yeah, that's a good idea.
Looks a little cumbersome.
Thank you.
Wait, now you caught him in.
What do I got? Oh, I see, I got something else here.
So you have to unclip that and then bring it around. There you go.
All right. Okay, text 12. Repeat after me. Yat tejasat bhagavan yudhi sulapanir. Yat tejasat bhagavan yudhi sulapanir. Vishma pita sagiri jostram nijame. Vishma pita sagiri jostram adan nijame. Anye picha manunaiva kalevarena. Anye pichaham mamunaiva balevarena. Prapto Mahendra Bhavane Mahat Asanardam. Prapto Mahendra Bhavane Mahat Asanardam. Yate jasat Bhagavan yudhi shulapanir. Vishma pita sagiri jostram adan nijame. Anye pichaham amunaiva kalevarena. Prapto Mahendra Bhavane Mahat Ashanardam. Anyone want to give it a try?
Yatte jasta bhagavan yudhi sulapani.
Yate jasata bhagavan yudhi shulapanir.
Bhisma pita sagiri jostram adan nijamme.
Vishma pita sagiri jostram adan nijamme.
Anya pichaham amunaiva kalevarena.
Anye pichaham amuna vaibale varena.
Prapto mahendra bhavane mahat asanardham.
Prapto Mahendra Bhavane Mahat Asanardam. Yate Jasata Bhagavan Yudhi Shulapanir. Vishwapita Sagiri Jostram Madani Jamme. Anye Pichaham Apunaiva Kalevarena. Prapto Mahendra Bhavane Mahadasanardam. Jai. Word for word translation. Yat. By whose? Tejasa. By influence. Ata. At one time. Bhagavan. Personality of God, Lord Shiva. Yudi, in the battle. Shulapani, one who has a trident in his hand. Vishmapitaha, astonished. Sagirija, along with the daughter of the Himalaya mountains. Astram, weapon. Adat, awarded. Nijam, of his own. Me, unto me. Anye api, so also others. Cha, and. Aham, myself. Amuna, by this. Eva, definitely. Kalivarena, by the body. Prapta, obtained. Maha Indra Bhavane, in the house of Indradev. Mahat, great. Asana Ardam, half elevated seat. Translation by Prabhupada. It was by his influence only that in a fight I was able to astonish the personality of Godhead, Lord Shiva, and his wife, the daughter of Mount Himalaya. Thus he, Lord Shiva, became pleased with me and awarded me his own weapon. Does anybody know what weapon that was? Was it the Pashupati? He has other weapons though, right?
Yeah.
But I think that's his most powerful, maybe. Pashupati. What does the Pashupati weapon do?
Pasupat Astra. It's the Pasupat Astra.
It's a heat weapon?
Yeah, it will hit.
I remember because when Krishna and Lord Shiva fought, there was the Jiva Shwara and the Shiva Shwara. And he sent the heat weapon and Krishna sent the cold weapon. And ultimately the heat weapon got cooled down a little bit. So, before reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, let us first offer our respectful obeisances unto Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. And by regular attendance of the Bhagavatam class, and by rendering service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, one comes into... My brain stopped. How's it go?
Where did you leave off?
Where did I leave off? By regular attendance of the Bhagavatam class and by rendering service unto the pure devotees, all that is inauspicious within the heart of the candidate becomes destroyed practically to nil, and thus loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, comes into being as an irrevocable fact.
I say established. But
Yeah, established?
Established as an irrevocable.
Okay. So this is what happens. This is a very good lesson, what I just did. When you talk, but your mind is somewhere else. So whenever you talk, whenever you run your mouth, make sure your mind is in gear. See, you have to have it in gear. So what's that saying? Look before you leap and think before you speak. So that's a very good lesson. See, I wasn't thinking, I was just doing the mantra and my thought was somewhere else. And then I lost it. That's how quick it happens. So, purport by Srila Prabhupada. By the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, all the demigods, including Lord Shiva, were pleased with Arjuna. The idea is that one who is favored by Lord Shiva or any other demigod may not necessarily be favored by the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. Ravana was certainly a great devotee of Lord Shiva, but he could not be saved from the wrath of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Ramchandra. And there are many instances like this in the histories of the Puranas. But here is an instance where we can see that Lord Shiva became pleased, even in the fight with Arjuna. The devotees of the Supreme Lord know how to respect the demigods, but the devotees of the demigods sometimes foolishly think that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is no greater than the demigods. By such a conception, one becomes an offender, Parshanti, and ultimately meets with the same end as Ravana and others. The instances described by Arjuna during his friendly dealings with Lord Sri Krishna are instructive for all who may be convinced by the lessons that one can achieve all favors simply by pleasing the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, whereas the devotees or worshippers of the demigods may achieve only partial benefits, which are also perishable just as the demigods themselves are. Krishna talks about the demigod worship in Bhagavad Gita. He says, Kama isthaistayar hita gyan. Their minds are distorted. So no need to go to the demigods. And one should not think that the Supreme Personality, Vishnu Tattva, is not the same as Jiva Tattva. Even the demigods are Jiva Tattvas. They're much more powerful, of course. So this is very important to understand because the demigods cannot award moksha. They cannot award immortality. They can give some material benediction, which is temporary. But the Lord, He gives the ultimate benefit to all living entities. Another significance of the present verse is that Arjuna, by the grace of Lord Sri Krishna, was able to reach the heavenly planets, even with the self-same body, and was honored by the heavenly demigod Indradeva, being seated with him half elevated. Strange, isn't it? Actually, Indra is Arjuna's father. So I'm sure Indra was very happy to see his son, especially seeing how his son was so favored by Sri Krishna. And actually, Arjuna was even more powerful than Indradev himself by the grace of the Lord. The moon is also on the level of the heavenly planets, and only persons who have performed virtues only, performing sacrifices, giving charity, undergoing severe austerities, can be allowed to enter into the heavenly planets after duration of life of the body. Arjuna was allowed to enter into the heavenly planets in the self-same body simply by the grace of the Lord. Otherwise, it is not possible to do so. The present attempts to enter into the heavenly planets by the modern scientists will certainly prove futile because such scientists are not on the same level of Arjuna. They are ordinary human beings without any assets of sacrifice, charity, or austerities. The material body is influenced by the three modes of material nature, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance. The present population is more or less influenced by the modes of passion and ignorance, and the symptoms for such influence are exhibited in they're becoming very lusty and greedy. Such degraded fellows can hardly approach the higher planetary systems. Above the heavenly planets, there are many other planets also, which only those who are influenced by goodness can reach. In heavenly and other planets within the universe, the inhabitants are all highly intelligent, many more times than the human beings, and they are all pious in the higher and highest mode of goodness. They are all devotees of the Lord, and although their goodness is not unadulterated, still they are known as demigods, possessing the maximum amount of good qualities possible within a material world. So we read this whole chapter. This is the Pandavas retiring timely. Arjuna is totally beside himself. He's practically in shock because Krishna, the very soul of his being, has left the planet. And he pulled himself together, and he was able to at least remember Krishna's glorious activities. And how fortunate Arjuna was that he was able to talk, to be friends with the Lord, to laugh with him, to joke with him, to put his arms around him, to even chide each other. It's how fortunate Arjuna was. It's beyond calculation. And of course, Arjuna understands this. And he's saying, I had these superpowers because of Krishna. I was able to conquer Indradev. I was able to even fight with Lord Shiva. And he was so pleased with me that he gave me his own personal weapon. And all the demigods were just pleased and appreciated so much Arjuna's talents. But Arjuna understood this is only because of Krishna. And actually, do you want superpowers? Probably, right? I wouldn't mind having a few superpowers. So you can get these, actually, by worship, because everything comes from the Supreme Lord. Arjuna got his superpowers from Krishna. What's that verse in Ishopanishad? Saparyagak chukrama kayamavranam ashnaviram sudama papavidham kavir manisi paribu swayambur yat yatatoritan vyadadhak chasvadibhyasamabhyaha. Such a person must factually know the greatest of all, who is unembodied, omniscient, beyond reproach, without veins, pure and uncontaminated, the self-sufficient philosopher who has been fulfilling the desires of everyone since time immemorial. So yes, you can get superpowers, but of course Krishna gives you even more than superpowers. He gives you immortality. He lets you come and live on his own planet and achieve eternity, bliss, and knowledge. You can't, there's nothing you can do to get that kind of reward, is there? What can you give? $1 million? Even if you gave your entire being, it's not one fraction of what the Lord gives us. So here, Arjuna is showing his appreciation, his thankfulness. So, his gratitude. And you know, Thanksgiving is coming. Christmas is coming. It's time to show gratitude and thankfulness. So, for us, every day should be Thanksgiving. Do you feel that way? Sometimes?
If I take a moment to reflect.
Yes, and we should always do that. We should always learn how to be thankful. Because this is a symptom actually of a great soul, a noble soul, that they're always thankful. If I use that example, if I gave you $500,000, would you be grateful to me? Of course you would. Vyapi, what can I do for you? You'd be very thankful if I gave you $500,000. But what about that person who gave you life? Who gave you eyesight? How much would you pay for your eyes to be able to see? How much would you be able to pay to be able to talk? To be able to walk? How much is that worth to you? Most people would give everything they have to be able to do that. Yet, we barely sometimes pay homage and thankfulness to that kind of a personality, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna, he gave those superpowers to Arjuna, but you know, Krishna is the real superhero. Super soul, Paramatma. What's that verse? Another verse in Sri Upanishad. Om Purnam Madaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Mudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. The personality of God, it is perfect and complete. And because He's completely perfect, all emanations from Him, such as this phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. Whatever is produced of the complete whole is also complete in itself. And because He is the complete whole, even though so many complete units emanate from Him, He remains the complete balance. This is spiritual mathematics. 1 minus 1 equals 1. Krishna is never diminished. Millions of universes come from Him. And they're wound up again, destroyed by Him. Yet, He always remains full. This is the unique thing about Sri Krishna. And He's always, Prabhupada said, He's ever expanding. Just like if you see Krishna, the most beautiful being, of course, Maharani, Radharani is more beautiful. But if you look at Krishna, the next moment that you look at Him again, He's more beautiful. And the next day, He's more beautiful. That's why there's never, in spiritual life, there's no satiation point. If you eat 1 candy bar, very nice. 2 candy bars, okay. 3 candy bars, I'm getting sick. No more, please. In the material world, everything has a satiation point. No matter what you do, you get sick and tired of it. Even if you eat cake, how much cake can you get before you get sick and throw up? You see, everything in this material world has a satiation point. But in the spiritual world, there is no satiation point. It's ever expanding, ever blissful. So Krishna is the real superhero. So what we want to do is, as Arjuna is giving the example here, by showing his gratitude. So appreciation, in one sense, you may say, is the highest form of prayer. Because we're always glorifying Krishna. We're all, just like every day, we glorify and we appreciate and give thanks to the spiritual master. The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way by which we can attain pure devotional service. I bow down to His lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By His grace, one can cross over the ocean of materials suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from His lotus mouth, etc., etc., etc. So every day we do this. Every day we're glorifying. So what we should do, we should learn to every day. We should always be thanking the Lord. I don't care how poor you are. You have something to be thankful for. If you have one leg, thank you, Krishna, that I still have one leg. Thank you, Krishna, I have one eye, which is true. I can't see out of one of my eyes, but I'm thankful that I have one eye. So there's always something you can be thankful for, you see? Thank you that we're able to get prasadam. Thank you for giving us deities. Thank you for the sunrise. Thank you for the moon. Thank you for the trees. You see? So this is our business. We're glorifying. Satatam kirtayantu mam yatantas chadrita vrata namashyantas shamam nitya yukta upashate. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me. These great souls, Mahatmas, constantly worship me with devotion. So that is the symptom. That's why someone who has gratitude in his heart, in one way you could say he's rich. A person that has gratitude is not ever poor. Someone who's always complaining, he's poor. He has a poor, there's something poor about him, you see, about that person. So showing gratitude, it's also has, showing gratitude is just like one person, he looks at a rose with thorns, and he'll say, he'll complain, the thorn has roses. I mean, the roses have thorns. And the other person says, I'm glad that thorns have roses. So this is the crux. How do you view life? Do you see life as, do you take things for granted? Or do you see things with gratitude? It's easy to take everything for granted. We can take the association of devotees for granted. We can take the sun for granted. We can take for granted that every day we're getting nice prasadam. But when it's gone, then you see, oh my gosh, I really missed that. We don't have that anymore, you see? So don't ever take things. You can see things, two ways you can see things. Nothing is a miracle, or everything is a miracle. How do you see it? Everything in life is a miracle. If you see it that way, it elevates your consciousness. It has healing properties. Gratitude is a thing that if you have gratitude, it's an attitude that ultimately makes you realize what your altitude's going to be. Gratitude is an attitude that determines your altitude, how far you're going to go, how you see things. So, seeing things with gratitude is a way of, it has a healing effect on your mood. It makes you appreciate even things that you have. In other words, we look at life maybe backwards. Just like you always show gratitude when you get a present. Oh, thank you for that, for giving that. But maybe what we should do is look at things the other way, which is, thank you for what I have. And then if I do, and I can build on that for anything else that I get. It's a medicine. I guarantee you, if you're thankful for every little thing that you have, thank you for this. When you go to work, thank you, Krishna, for giving me a job. Before you drive your car, thank you, Krishna. Please let me safely drive to my work, etc. Thank you for this. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciation. It changes you. And it's a medicine that you can make yourself. Or it's like a currency, it's like money. Can you imagine if you could make money and print it yourself? You see, it's a currency or a medicine that you can make within yourself. And you don't ever have to worry about going bankrupt or overdosing. You see? So, gratitude, what did I say before? Gratitude is an attitude which determines your altitude. So the devotee and who has more gratitude than Krishna? Here, this is a story, how grateful Krishna is when you do something. Sudama Vipra, when he came to visit Krishna, he brought chipped rice. Chipped rice, that is not a great gift. Simply by bringing chipped rice to Krishna in Dwarka, Krishna says, Sudama was too embarrassed to even show it to him. His wife made him you have to bring something to Krishna. So all they had was some chipped rice. That's how poor he was. So when he came, they exchanged pleasantries. Krishna washed Sudama's feet. And he noticed as they were talking, he had something behind his back. He says, "What's that you're hiding behind your back?" And he says, "Oh, nothing." And how's that story go?
He says, "Have you brought me something?"
And sure enough, Krishna snatched it somehow, or other tricked him and took it from him. Oh, wonderful chipped rice! And he started eating it. Oh, this is the most wonderful chipped rice I've ever eaten in my life. And Rukmini was fanning Krishna at that time. She says, "Okay, that's enough." He said, simply by doing that service to Krishna, the goddess of fortune became pleased with Sudama Vipra. And after Sudama Vipra left and went back home, what did he find?
Palaces.
Palaces.
Recognizes.
He couldn't even recognize his wife. Everything is servants, more opulence than the gods. And of course, Krishna only gave it to him because he knew that he would not fall down because of these material opulences. Otherwise, Krishna wouldn't even give it to him. But still, you see how Krishna reciprocates with his devotee. If you serve him, Prabhupada said, if you take one step towards Krishna, he'll take 3 towards you. Krishna shows more gratitude than you do. What about Kubja? He went to Mathura, and the first guy he met was the cloth merchant, who was delivering cloth for Kamsa. And Krishna said, and Balaram came up there and says, "What is it? Oh, this nice cloth. Could we have some?" And the guy said, "How dare you? This is for Kamsa." For what?
It's meant for the king, King Kamsa.
King Kamsa. So, for his impudence, Krishna took his chakra out and cut his head off. That was his mercy. The guy became blasphemous and obviously got a better birth by getting killed. So next he came up to Kubja. She was a hunchback woman. And she was, what'd she have, sandalwood? Was it sandalwood? She was getting sandalwood for Kamsa, the Lord Kamsa, King Kamsa. And Krishna says, "Oh, this looks like very nice stuff." And she looked at Krishna and she saw, "Wow, what a beautiful boy." He says, Yes, it's for the king, but I can't see anybody more fit to have this sandalwood pulp on them than you. I should definitely. So she put sandalwood pulp on Krishna. And for that, what did Krishna do? He stepped on her toes, grabbed her ears. She was not a hunchback anymore. She became the most beautiful woman in Mathura. So this is Krishna. He awards. But how powerful is Krishna? How kind is Krishna? Simply by calling his name. This is what Draupadi did. She called his name. And for that, he came and he gave her unlimited sari to save her from the embarrassment of being disrobed. But here's how kind Krishna is. Simply by chanting his name, he gives himself. All you have to do is chant his names and Krishna gives himself. So, the devotees, the great souls, the Mahatmas, they're so grateful to God. They love God so much that even when he puts them in difficulty, they say, it's Krishna's mercy. What's that story, the king and the minister? Does anybody remember that story? The king and the minister? So this king, he was a very powerful king. He had opulences, he had everything. And he had his very nice, good minister. And one day he decided to go hunting. So they went hunting, and there was an accident in the hunting, and somehow or other the king lost his thumb. And the minister said, that's Krishna's mercy. And the king looked at him, that's Krishna's mercy? I just got my thumb cut off, and you see that as Krishna's mercy? And the king became very angry, and he said, okay, let's see if you think that's Krishna's mercy. I'm going to put you in prison. So he put the minister in prison for simply saying it's Krishna's mercy. And the king was very irritated. It took him many days to get over it. Anyway, another day he decided to go hunting. He had a new minister, and he went hunting again. And when they went hunting, they got captured by some dacoits. And it just so happened these dacoits were devotees of Kali, and they wanted to make a human sacrifice. So they wanted to have noble blood. So they decided, well, the king, he has noble blood. This is a good offering to Kali, goddess Kali. But when they saw he had no thumb, they said, oh no, we can't use him. He's not perfect. He's defective. So we'll have to let him go. But the other minister, who was actually jealous of the other minister, so this new minister, he was not the most righteous guy. But the dacoits decided to take him. He had a high position. They took him and they sacrificed him. And they let the king go. And the king, then he began to understand. Wow. So now I see how this is Krishna's mercy. If I would have had my thumb, I would have been killed. So he went to the minister in prison, and he offered his obeisances to him. He says, I was really wrong. You were right. He said, but I don't understand. He says, I can understand, something happened to me, but what about you? I don't know, I had to put you in prison. You got punished. He said, no. If I would have gone with you, I would have been the one that would have got killed. So that was also Krishna's mercy, you see. So the devotees of the Lord, they see even difficulty as being Krishna's mercy. And I'm not expecting all of us, to immediately be on that platform. The natural reaction is, why me? What did I do? It was Louis XIV in France, who was, I don't know which king it was. It was one that he was going to be killed. And he said, Why me, Lord? What about all the things I've done for you? Have you forgotten all the things I've done for you? You see, so the natural tendency is that we criticize, we blame God even for some of our problems. We even get mad at God, not knowing how karma works and that we deserve even more punishment. And Krishna, so if we can see it in the light of that's Krishna's mercy, then Krishna becomes very pleased. Just like even if you approach Krishna and somehow or other, please Krishna, I want to become your devotee, and Krishna says, no, you're not ready, I don't. But if you keep coming and you never quit, this is very, very attractive. And Krishna, after a while, Krishna may allow you to come into his inner circle, to be a devotee. So, gratitude can transform an ordinary day in your life and turn it into a blessing. And every day can be a blessing simply by showing gratitude and thankfulness to the Lord. If you have that kind of attitude, you will, within yourself, it's just kind of like the example I may use is, if you had sand and particles of iron, shredded iron, and you had that mixed, and if you were trying to take that iron apart from that sand, it would be very difficult, impossible practically. But if you have a magnet, then that magnet, by putting it down, it immediately attracts the iron. So gratitude is like that. It attracts all the blessings that we have within ourselves. It brings it out. So gratitude is something that we should, and don't be mediocre with your gratitude. Oh, thanks for that. No, show your gratitude. If you show it mediocrely, that means you're a mediocre person. You should be like Krishna when he when Sudama brought the chip rice. Oh, wonderful chip rice. Oh, I've never tasted anything so good. He wasn't miserly about his gratitude. He showed it. So don't be miserly with your gratitude, with your thanks. It doesn't cost you anything, and it may make somebody happy. Look at that. Just like you may say an unkind word to somebody. You say, you dog, and or something, and the word is gone. But the ripples, just like when you drop a stone, there's ripples. So after you've gone, the person thinks about it, and there's ripples, and it makes him feel bad. Makes that person feel bad, you see, and you don't know the harm you've done. So similarly, if you say a kind word, if you do something nice to somebody, thank you very much, that's wonderful what you did, and it goes away. The word is said and it's gone, but the ripples are still there. Maybe even hundreds of ripples. And maybe you've made somebody feel good about themselves and want to actually uplift them a little bit, let them do a little bit more, you see. So that is a very important thing. Just like we just celebrated Prabhupada's disappearance. But we don't dwell on the grief that Prabhupada has left us all, but rather we dwell on the gratitude and the thanks for what he has given us, the thanks that he came. We don't dwell on his death, on his passing, but on what he's given us. So similarly, we should do that with all our loved ones in our lives. We don't dwell, oh, they passed away, oh, boo-hoo. No, it was nice that I was able to get to know this person, etc. So, is there any questions? Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Saying about that ripple effect in yoga class, we say the same thing. It's like that you have vocal cords, so the body is also like a musical instrument. So whatever, if you scream and holler, then it ripples throughout your own body. You know? So even though you think you're projecting or putting something out, it also reverberates through your own body as well. So if there's screaming and hollering, that reverberates through your own body, and if there's laughter, this and that,